In myths, we're used to heroes winning, gods conquering monsters, kings rising, evil falling. We expect Thor the hammer-wielding god of thunder to strike down anything in his path, to be the strongest in every room, to be the answer to every threat. But not in this story. This is not a story of triumph. This is a story of failure, or rather, a story of impossible challenges, where even gods are made to look small, where the strongest warrior in Norse mythology meets something. Can't he fight? Can't he lift? Can't he outdrink? And in the end can't understand. This is the tale of Thor and the giant king Utgard-Loki, a journey that begins as a test of strength and ends as a lesson in perception, power, and illusion. The story begins with Thor traveling. He's not at war. He's not angry, not yet. He's simply moving through the world with purpose. Beside him is Loki, the shape-shifting trickster. But here, Loki is not the villain. He is the companion, the observer, the only one in Asgard who understands that not all battles are fought with weapons. With them are two human children, a boy named Lfi, clever and fast, and his sister Reskva, quiet but watchful. The group journeys toward Jotunheim, the land of the giants, a realm outside the walls of Asgard, outside the safety of Oda. One night, as they rest in a forest, they find a strange shelter, a vast structure, wide and open. They sleep inside it, unaware. In the morning, the ground shakes, breathing echoes like thunder, and they realize what they thought was a shelter was actually the glove of a sleeping giant. His name is Skrymir. He's massive, slow-speaking, and surprisingly calm. He offers to guide them toward Utgard, the heart of the giant realm. But as they travel, something strange happens. Skrymir walks ahead so far and so fast they can barely keep up. At night, he snores so loudly that trees shake. Thor grows irritated. One night, while Skrymir sleeps, Thor tries to kill him. He slams his mighty hammer into the giant's forehead. The giant stirs, slightly annoyed. "Did a leaf fall on my head?" he asks, then goes back to sleep. Thor tries again the next night. Harder, still nothing. The third night, Thor strikes with all his divine strength. Skrymir opens one eye. Was that a bird? Thor is shocked. Is he being mocked? Is the giant immune to pain? Or is something else going on? In the morning, Skrymir says goodbye. He points to a distant castle. That, he says, is Utgard. If you want to go further, you're on your own. Then he vanishes into the woods. The gods continue, and the real story begins. At the edge of the world, past forests too dense for sunlight, and rivers too wide for memory, Thor and his companions find it. A castle, but not just any castle. Its walls stretch into the clouds. Its gates are too large to be doors. It doesn't look built, it looks grown. This is Utgard, a stronghold of the frost giants, a place older than Asgard, colder than death, and far more clever than expected. Thor walks forward, proud, cautious. He does not knock. Inside, the hall is filled with giants. Some laugh, others whisper, but none seem afraid of the strangers. At the far end sits a figure not massive, but commanding. This is Utgard-Loki, not the same Loki who walks beside Thor. This is a different being entirely. His name means Loki of the outer enclosure, and he is the master of this place. He looks at Thor with a faint smile. "So," he says, "this is the thunder god. You seem smaller than I imagined." Thor's fists tighten, but he says nothing. "Here in Utgard," says the giant king, "we value more than muscle. If you wish to stay, you must prove yourself. Not in war, not in rage, in challenges, in skill, in what cannot be faked." The room goes silent. Then Utgard-Loki asks, "Who among you dares to be tested first?" Thor steps forward, not because he's reckless, but because he is always the one who carries the weight. Utgard-Loki claps his hands. A servant brings out a long drinking horn ornate, old, bone white. It seems manageable in size at first. "This is a simple task," says the giant king. "Empty this horn in 3 drinks. Most of my men can do it in 1. Thor nods. He lifts the horn to his lips and drinks. One long gulp, another, and another. But when he lowers it, the horn is barely changed. The room murmurs. Thor frowns. He drinks again, deeper this time. His throat burns. His stomach strains. And yet, again, The horn appears nearly full. By the third attempt, Thor is red with effort. He slams the horn down. A few drops spill, but the challenge is not met. Utgard-Loki raises an eyebrow. You've done better than I thought, but not enough. Maybe drinking isn't your strength. The thunder god grits his teeth. Something is wrong. His strength hasn't failed, but the rules of this game don't feel fair. Still, he says nothing, and the trials continue. The giant king gestures again. This time, a large, grey cat slinks into the hall. It looks tired, unbothered, unimpressed. Its body stretches nearly the length of the room. Its tail flakes like a whip. Its paws stump like boulders when it walks. Utgard-Loki turns to Thor. You say you are strong, god of thunder. Then prove it. Lift my house cat. There is laughter loud and slow. But Thor does not flinch. He steps toward the animal. It watches him, silent. He crouches, grabs the cat's belly from beneath, lifts. Nothing. He shifts his grip, strains. His muscles bulge. His breath sharpens. He puts everything he has into it, and the cat rises. But only slightly. Only one paw leaves the floor. The rest stays grounded, as if pinned by the weight of the world. The room falls quiet. Thor steps back, confused, not ashamed, because he knows how hard he tried, but confused. He has lifted mountains. Why not this? Utgard-Loki offers a smirk. Not bad, he says. Few could even do that much, but again not enough. Another failure. Another silent question. What's really going on here? Utgard-Loki turns to his guests. One more test, he says. This time, not of strength, but endurance. A figure enters the room. Hunched, slow, a woman, old beyond years. Skin like parchment, eyes like ancient stone. Her name is Ellie. She will wrestle you, the giant king announces. Do your best. Thor hesitates. He has fought beasts, giants, and serpents, but never a woman like this. Still, he nods. The wrestling match begins. Thor lunges gently at first, but she doesn't move. He tightens his grip, tries to unbalance her. Still, she stands. He pushes harder, tries every tactic he knows, wrestles with all the might of Asgard. And yet, slowly, she bends his knees. Slowly, he loses ground. Thor, god of thunder, drops to one knee, then the other, and finally, he is pressed to the floor. Ellie steps back without a word. Utgard-Loki doesn't laugh. No one beats her, he says softly. She is not strength. She is not speed. She is old age. And no one guard or man defeats her. Thor remains kneeling, not out of shame, but realization. This was not a loss. It was an encounter with something unmovable. Not a wall, but a law of existence. The trials are over. Thor has lost them all. He hasn't emptied the drinking horn. He couldn't lift the cat, and he was defeated by an old woman. But then something strange happens. Utgard-Loki approaches Thor. His tone changes. No longer smug, no longer mocking. Instead, respectful. You did better than I ever expected, he says. Much better. Thor says nothing. He doesn't need comfort. He needs answers. And Utgard-Loki gives them. One by one, the illusions fall apart. The drinking horn, he begins, was not just a cup. It's stretched into the sea itself. When you drank from it, you lowered the ocean. That's why tides exist. Thor blinks. The room is still. The cat, the giant king continues, was not a cat. It was Jormungandr, the wheeled serpent, coiled around Midgard. You lifted part of it off the ground. No one else could have done that. Even the giants murmur now. And Ellie, Utgard-Loki says, is not a woman. She is old age itself. No one, no matter how strong, can defeat her. But you lasted longer than anyone ever has. Thor listens, still kneeling, still silent. The truth crashes through him harder than any battle ever could. He was never meant to win, because these trials were not fights. They were illusions, yes, but more than that, they were reflections of limits, of truths that even gods must face. Thor stands. His fists are clenched, his pride bruised, but something inside him has changed. Utgard-Loki continues. You call us tricksters, he says. But what is more foolish? To fight what cannot be defeated, or to understand what cannot be avoided? He walks to the center of the hall. The gods think in terms of war. We think in terms of reality. You swing hammers. We bend perception. What you call trickery, It's just a different kind of strength. Thor's eyes narrow. Why show me this? He asks. The giant king replies, because one day the final battle will come. Ragnarok. And when it does, all illusions will fall, even yours. You needed to know. You are not invincible, and not everything in the world can be solved by force. Thor exhales, not in defeat, in clarity. Thor leaves the hall. His shoulders are heavy not with shame, but with knowledge. The strongest god in the Norse pantheon was just shown something stronger, not just once, but 3 times, and not with violence, but with design, with illusion, with truth disguised as failure. Let us look again. The horn, an winnable game. You cannot drink the sea, but Thor made the tide move. The cat, an impossible weight. The world serpent itself, and yet he lifted part of it, which no one, mortal or divine, had ever done. Old age, unbeatable, universal, yet Thor stood against it, longer than anyone. What does that tell us? That strength isn't just about winning. It's about showing up even when the odds are fake, even when the system is rigged, even when the battle was never yours to win. The Norse didn't tell this story to humiliate Thor. They told it to reveal him, not as a flawless god, but as someone who confronted reality. And didn't he flinch? That is strength, not victory. Persistence. When Thor finally turns from Utgard, he says nothing. He doesn't destroy the castle. He doesn't attack the giants. He doesn't demand a rematch. He simply walks. And as he does, the castle begins to fade. The walls vanish. The towers dissolve like mist. There is no smoke, no explosion, just absence. Because Utgard itself, like the challenges within, was never fully real. Or rather, it was real enough to change something inside him. Thor doesn't speak about this journey again, not because he's ashamed, but because he understands something now that words can't contain. That not all threats wear armor, not all victories look like conquest, and not all losses are failures. Sometimes, you win by bearing witness to your own limits.